Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Our Father, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Oh, thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory
Hi guys, I'm Jenna, and I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. This has quickly become one of my favorite parts of this time of gathering together in the evening looking at the book of Psalms. Before I dive in to Psalm 31, I want to tell you about a backpacking trip that I took when I was in college. Most normal college folks would maybe take a really fun spring break, but I decided to go on a backpacking trip in the mountains of North Carolina. And it was so cold. It was so cold. There was frost on the ground every morning. And there were 4 of us girls on the trip, and we actually slept, all 4 of us, in a 2-person tent and put all of our stuff in the other tent and took turns on the outside and inside of the tent because it was so cold and it was pretty miserable. The next to last day of the trip, it started to drizzle in the morning. And it wasn't like a nice spring warm drizzle. It was cold to your bones, wet. And we were hiking. I had already been cold all week. We were eating whatever food had gotten squished down in the back of our backpacks that was left over that we had kind of put off eating from the beginning of the week. I was just physically miserable, and then it started to rain. And like hard, wet, big, fat drops of rain that just soaked me head to toe. My boots were squishing and squeaking as I walked. I was getting blisters. But the way that our backpacking route had been planned, we couldn't just stop. We had to get to our campsite for the night so that we could finish our trip the next day. And I was physically miserable. I'd already been tired. I had been with the same people all week. And when we finally, late in the day, way too late than we were really used to being able to set up camp, we finally made it to the campsite. And our trip leader had not told us this, but there was a shelter at this camp. And it was not by any means fancy. It was wood floor with two wood, just a simple roof. There was no insulation, but we were able to get in. We were able to be dry. We were able to start a campfire at the entrance to it, and so all the heat kind of got trapped in there, and we got to sleep inside a real shelter that night. And it has been almost 20 years since that trip, and I still remember that moment of seeing the shelter and like almost being overcome to the point of tears with just relief that there was finally going to be a safe place to be. David wrote this psalm. David was a king of Israel, and he wrote Psalm 31 for the director of music, so it's actually a song that they would sing. And he talks about God as being a refuge. Now, David, we don't know really when in his life he wrote this psalm, but he experienced a lot of chaos in his life. There were times when he was being betrayed by friends, times when he was actually being pursued for his life, and he was on the run, living in caves in the desert. And so he knew what it meant to the relief of being able to find a safe place. And here's how he describes God as his refuge. I'm just going to read you the first 5 verses. I really encourage you to dig out your Bible app or a Bible and read the rest of it because it is amazing. But let me just read you the first 5 verses. In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. Free me from the trap that is set for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Redeem me, O Lord, the God of truth. I sense a theme. And I love how he talks about God as his safe place. I have a distinct memory of the day whenever I fully realized what it meant to have God as my refuge, as my safe place, as a rock that I could hold to, and everything else felt like sand slipping away under my feet. A few years ago, one of my really good friends suffered a terrible tragedy. Their child died. And I went to visit her, to sit with her, to mourn with her. And I remember looking at her, and they were grieving. It was terrible, but she had this sense of peace, even in the midst of it. And I remember asking her, why aren't you angry at God? Like, I would be so angry right now. I am angry for you. Like, what are you doing that's giving you this peace? And she looked at me and she said, Jenna, how can I be angry at the one that's holding me together right now? She knew that her only safe place to be was with God, because nothing else in her life felt safe right then. It was all scary and terrible. Everything around her felt like a hurricane. But she was able to stand in the eye of the storm with everything happening around her and find peace in God, who is the only one who's able to give her any sense of peace in that moment. Since then, I have had times in my life where it's just felt insane, like nothing is safe. And I have been able to, in those moments, experience what she experienced, and being able to turn to God for a refuge, as a hiding place. Someone to hold me close and safe. I don't trust God because my circumstances are easy. I trust God because he has proven himself worthy to be trustworthy despite whatever circumstances happen. We're going to wrap up with a prayer tonight. But instead of me praying a prayer that's been written elsewhere, I'm actually just going to reread these first 5 verses of Psalm 31, and I would love you to consider these as a prayer from you. So wherever you're at, just take a moment, close your eyes, and pray this in your heart. In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. Free me from the trap that is set for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Redeem me, O Lord, the God of truth. Thanks for being together tonight.